What did a child say or do that made you think this kid might be a future serial killer? My sort of friend's old brother yelled Hulk smash and threw a few-week-old kitten at a wall. He was 9 at the time, I think. Fortunately, the kitten survived and had no more injuries than a mild concussion. But they say animal cruelty at a young age is a sign of psychopaths and serial killers. One of my mom's friends had a son. When he was about 8, he choked a kitten so bad, her larynx got fucked up. My mom ended up stealing her and gave her to my great aunt. Her and her friend had a falling out about it. Her friend just brushed off what he did. Annie couldn't meow and was the sweetest girl. She just died last year and was 19 years old. He's a heroin addict. I don't think he's killed anyone, but I haven't seen him in years. When I was growing up, another kid looked at a praying mantis and said, "Why are you praying? Nobody's going to help you," in a very scratchy whisper. He proceeded to kill it, which made me cry. Fast forward 28 years, he's in jail. I went over to this kid's house to babysit, and he asked if we could go up to his treehouse. I love treehouses, so of course I say yes. We get up there, and there's a wall full of clear glass mason jars with supposedly nothing inside them. Okay, weird, but I'm getting paid, so it doesn't really matter. His eyes light up when he sees the jars, and he drags me over to the shelves. "This is my bug collection," he says. That makes more sense, but there wasn't any sticks and leaves and dirt or anything. Huh. That's so cool. Always encourage kids to keep on showing people what they like. How about we go get some sticks and things to help them feel more comfortable? Yeah, the kid says. We go out into the yard and pick up some sticks and leaves and climb back up again. I give him one of the jars and tell him how to do it carefully. But that would let the air in and give them food, he says. Yeah, if they don't have food and air, they'll die, I point out. He looks up at me calmly and coolly and just says in the most monotone serial killer voice ever, "I know. That's the point." This kid was watching insects slowly suffocate and starve to death, knowingly. Nope. Called the mom, went home without pay. Demon child, I tell you. My nephew took a litter of kittens one by one to a kiddie pool and drowned them. He was laughing while outside playing so my sister, his mother, didn't think he was doing anything wrong. He was 6 at the time. He's 8 now, and I still feel uneasy around him. Was this a litter of kittens the family owned, or did they belong to a stray cat? Asking because who the heck leaves a 6-year-old unsupervised with a litter of kittens? Even if the child doesn't try to drown them, I wouldn't trust them alone with kittens because, well, they're a child, and children need to be taught how to treat/take care of animals. My roommate's kid was in the yard with me, holding a feather. He's silent, staring at me, smiling. Then he tries to stab me in the eye with the poetry end. Thank God children need to develop their hand-eye coordination. His aim was low. I used to teach preschool, and one kid would encourage the others to break the rules, then watch the aftermath. For example, one of the sweetest kids in the class hit another student, and when I asked why he did that, he said, "Because X told me so." And X was just sitting at the table, watching the whole thing. Whenever X misbehaved himself, he would grab onto my legs, flash doe eyes, and say, "Miss, I love you." It was really creepy. And it's unusual for a kid to be that manipulative at 3. My nephew at 4 after I corrected him for hitting my son. "I'm going to beat you with a baseball bat until you bleed to death and die." Another time I was told that he was going to stab me in the face with a knife till I died. Another time, he actually yelled that he wished my daughter, who was a baby, was dead. So, needless to say, we don't visit them very often. I was 16 or 17, babysitting a 4-year-old who was helping me make dinner. I told him he couldn't touch the boiling pot of water, and he balled up his fists, looked me in the eye, and proceeded to describe how he would use a fork to twist my eyeball out of socket. I simply told him, I'd like to see you try. Reminds me of when I babysat a kid that age and he was sitting in the corner saying, I hate the babysitter. I kill the babysitter. I kill the babysitter with a knife. I just played with his toys and said he could play with me or sit by himself. He chose the toys. Met a kid at a mental hospital who openly told the class that he dealt with anger by buying goldfish from Walmart, putting one in a glass cup by itself, cussing at it so it knew what was coming, then stabbing it with a fork in front of the others. Found out he killed kittens, grotesquely, and was bragging. I told his mom, and they moved to Venezuela. Number 2. Brought a knife to school in kindergarten. Got locked in an office, climbed through the ceiling tiles to escape. 20 years later, broke into someone's home. When the cops asked him what he was doing, he said he was going to rape her. Killed himself like 2 years ago. These were 2 different kids from my elementary school in a town of less than 20,000 people. My mother brought 10 young chicks for us to have as pets. My cousin wanted to hear them all make chick noises, so he grabbed every single one of them and kept bashing them on the table until all of them got squashed by the young murderer. He was 4. When I was very young, my imaginary friend was Michael Myers. Watched Halloween, and instead of being horrified, I wanted him to be my buddy. I'm sure the teachers at school thought I was on my way to become a serial killer. In reality, I just thought that maybe if he had a friend, he wouldn't hurt people. I can imagine a cheesy 90s friendship melody playing while you and Michael Myers laugh as you paint funny colors on each other's faces and take stupid photos in the carnival photo booth. Then he accidentally stabs a dude and you'll shrug and laugh as the music continues. Do-do-do-da-do-do, best friends montage. I was sitting next to a cute little boy at circle time at the preschool where I worked. The lead teacher was reading a story and the little boy leaned over and whispered, "Take your face off." What? Take your face off. That's silly. Faces don't come off. I take my face off, and you take your face off, and then I rub my skull on you. He also once claimed he was making brunch for his ghost while playing with cooking equipment, but honestly, that was cute. My brother, aged around 10, told my mother very matter-of-factly that he was going to join the army just so he could steal a tank and shoot our mother in the face with it. Wasn't joking or anything, he meant it. Luckily for everyone, my brother got better and is now halfway all right. My cousin ran up to me and said, "How many legs do spiders have?" I said 8. He said, "Not anymore." It was not the child that did anything, it was the parenting I saw. There was this girl I knew who had a little boy. Girl had a strange man at her house every day. She'd make the kid call the guy daddy. She'd walk around topless or half nude. Meanwhile, paying the male all the attention, dismissing the kid anytime he tried to speak to her or ask him something. Sounded a lot like the childhood of several serial killers I've read about. How do you tell someone that their parenting style was optimal for producing one of these maniacs? What was this kid going to have to do to get her attention? Couldn't call social services because the kid was well-fed, attended school, and was never physically punished. But the psychological damage I saw occurring was awful. Boy in class, grade 6, spent a lesson catching flies and torturing them while there was no teacher for a full double lesson. Sometimes a substitute would accidentally be scheduled for both grade 6 classes, so they'd leave one class unattended. He'd hold them down with a ruler and slowly cut off their legs and wings with scissors. He even shoved a few in the class microwave and slowly cooked them to death while they flew around desperately looking for an escape. Also, he groped me a few months later. A loner in my primary school did just disturbing things, like he killed his hamster by chucking it against a wall. He used to dissect alive insects with a toothpick in the school playing fields. And used to have random outbursts, like if you were just talking to him, he would just start screaming and try to beat you up out of the blue. They just labeled it with just in a phase, but thinking about it, something was definitely wrong with his head. Killed some ducklings in our apartment complex. I was a teenager at the time, and I remember calling animal control about it because I was worried about the kid. I think school called cops later on due to other issues at home. We moved away, so I don't know the outcome, but I hope he's doing okay. I worked at a residential foster care facility. I had a bunch of kids with issues too severe to stay in a foster home. Most were great kids who needed more attention and help with coping skills. I've only had two, both boys aged 10 to 12 while I worked there, that we all knew would kill someone. One would be sweet all day and then at bedtime tell us he was going to riot and then would scream rape or fire, trying to get all the kids to run with him. He spent all day planning how to act up, but if his preferred staff would focus on him, he'd be fine. He'd try to torture the other kids and then laugh when they cried. He was never abused, he was never turned over voluntarily because his dad couldn't handle his level of violence. He eventually got sent to a higher security facility. The other one, he was sent to us for abusing the animals at his placement. He tried to have sex with a girl in our care. They were both 11. He would smear shit all over his room or wet the bed and flick piss at us on his way to put the sheets in the washer. One time we had one of his episodes and I had to sit outside his door for most of my shift. He spent a full 2 hours explaining in detail how when he was 18 he'd find me and kill me. His description of how he'd plant a bomb in my phone to blow my head off still haunts me. I've told multiple people if I ever die mysteriously to look at him first. I fully believe he will kill someone one day. I loved that job. Kids try so hard to be good. It's not their fault that they had bad parents. 99% of my kids were amazing people from bad situations. Those two, they'll kill someone. It's a matter of time. One kid in my class was whispering in another language. When we asked him what he was saying, he said he was cursing another kid to be killed by the saints that night. He said in his own words, "They will gouge his eyes out." We were in 2nd grade. This kid is still crazy. Chilling in the McDonald's play area with my little bro. He was 5 and I was 10 and surprisingly mature. A kid saw me climbing up something, like the slide. Little fucker went up quick as he could and disappeared into the play area. I went back to climbing and about 5 seconds later, the little bitch comes down the slide full speed and hits me dead in the stomach. I was having trouble breathing and it hurt so much I started to cry a bit. The asshole starts laughing and said, "It's funny watching you in pain." So the adults come in and kind of crowd around me asking what happened and if I was okay. And the kid's mom comes in and drags him out, lecturing him. He looked to be 6. There was a kid who in 3rd grade would step on bees that were just minding their business. Then he would pull the stinger out while they were still alive and chase the kids around the field with a stinger. He would also manipulate and bully all the shy kids. And then act completely different around the cool kids. He didn't do any physical harm to anybody, but the dude was super emotionally abusive. Also, I'm pretty sure his mom was a hooker. I was in my friend's house playing on his Xbox and there was a bird outside of the window that was annoying everyone, so his 10-year-old brother killed the bird, put it on the floor, drew a circle around it in the blood, and started laughing.